30 years ago tomorrow, the United States men's hockey team pulled off its famed miracle on ice. The story has been told countless times by the coach and players themselves in books and on the silver screen. But there is much about the momentous victory that remained untold until now. As Chris Connolly reports, what you don't know about the clash between the U.S. and Russia makes what you do know all the more gripping, beginning with a showdown between two of the players the night before the game.
It was the night before the U.S. hockey team would take on the Soviet Union on this ice at the 1980 Winter Games in Lake Placid. At the Olympic Village, there was a confrontation between U.S. goalie Jim Craig and Soviet scorer Sergei Makarov. On this.
Makarov was at the Centipede game with me at the same time, and it was a very popular game at that time. And I remember we couldn't really communicate, but I was winning that game, and kind of gave me the indication that I thought we could do that again tomorrow.
The next day, as Team USA took the ice to face a mighty Soviet team universally expected to win, there was no live TV of the game. The only Americans who saw it as it happened were here. Among them, Jamie Farr, famous for his role as the cross-dressing Corporal Klinger on MASH.
There was a ticket available, but the ticket was on the Russian side of the arena. So I was sitting among all these Russian dignitaries, and some of them had these very stern looks on their face.
Here we go as the game is underway. The Soviet Union in red and the United States in white. The U.S. finishing
right from the opening faceoff, the Soviet skill was on display.
Slap shot, and it was deflected in. And the Soviet Union leads 1-0.
The Americans were quick to respond against the great goaltender Vladislav Tretiak.
Pavlich up ahead to Schneider. Slap shot goes in for Schneider.
But a Russian goal made it 2-1, scored by Craig's Centipede rival Makarov.
There was apprehension in that arena. There was this tremendous feeling of you wanting to embrace this team, but at the same time, we were all nervous.
Goal scorer Mark Johnson was known as Magic, a nickname taken from the then Lakers rookie. He had a 15-year-old's physique and the heart of a lion. By now, the first period was nearly over. The clock was running down.
I'm counting down how many seconds there are. 10 seconds. There's 9 seconds left in the period.
Then all of a sudden, Mark Johnson flies by me, and I'm like, where's he going?
Long shot, the easy save by Tretiak, but Johnson is there and scores with 1 second to play in the period.
That's why they call him Magic.
That was the only question as I put the puck in the net, made the turn in the corner, looked up at the clock, is there enough time for it to count?
The crowd was cheering, but the scoreboard still read 2-1. The USA team swarmed around Finnish referee Carl Gustav Kaisla.
I was sure that it was inside before, and then I asked from my linesman also. It was clear.
The goal was allowed. The game was tied at 2. 1 second still remained in the first period. To take the faceoff to end the period, only 4 Soviet players came back on the ice. One of them was in goal, Vladimir Mishkin, replacing Tretiak.
Looking back, they probably should have never pulled him. He was the marquee player, the best player they had. I'm very surprised, and he probably was too when they pulled him.
In the second period, it was Jim Craig who kept the U.S. in the game. But he couldn't keep the Soviets off the board.
Malchev gets it by Craig to give the Soviets the lead.
With 4 minutes left, a Soviet player collided with Craig in the crease.
I get knocked out for a brief period of time. The Russian guy put his head into mine, went into the post.
You lost consciousness?
I did.
For how long?
It wasn't that long. It was enough to kind of shake myself together.
They might have to take you out of the game now.
I don't think today getting knocked out is the same probably 30 years ago. They would have had to take me out for at least 1 whistle.
And the second period is over.
It was USSR 3, USA 2. 1 period to go.
This is Brock.
Then, with 13 minutes left in the third period.
And we've got a penalty coming up on the Soviets.
Referee Keisler made a call that gave the U.S. an opportunity.
He was a little bit stupid. With the high stick, 2 minutes. No question.
We had nothing going on the power play, and it's a broken play, and he fires a shot.
Big shot for Davis. Johnson. They score!
All of a sudden, you're on your way.
The building was shaking now. Little more than a minute later, taking the ice even before the rest of his line could get on, was Micah Ruzioni.
The puck came to me. There was a Soviet defenseman in front of me. Believe it or not, when it left my stick, I thought it was in.
Ruzioni! Micah Ruzioni!
Now the place, good thing they had it screwed down because the roof would have come right off. And then you take a deep breath and it's like, wow, you know, can we do this? Is this going to be real?
4-3 now we score, and first thing you do, you look up at the clock and you go, oh, there's too much time.
10 minutes, man, that's a long time. That Russian team was so good that I don't think you really wanted to piss them off that early. So my thinking was, okay, now they're going to really kick it into gear, which they tried to.
Lebedev now, out in front of Krutov, and it looked like it hit the post.
It did. Maltsev was wide open. There he is again.
That's what was so nerve-wracking, because you saw the Russians attacking Jimmy Craig at that goal, and we kept saying, oh my goodness, please keep them down at the end, the Russian end.
5.5 minutes to play. Petrov.
As the intensity picked up, so did the emotions on the ice.
They won everything there is to win, and I wanted to make sure they had earned it.
Before the game, the man most responsible for getting the U.S. to this moment, Coach Herb Brooks, had looked at his young players in the locker room and spoken words that have since passed into legend.
Born to be a player, meant to be here. This moment is yours. I really caught the part when he said, this moment is yours. Our moment as a team.
Now, that moment had come.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
2 days later, the U.S. would beat Finland 4-2.
The reset, they score! 5 seconds to the gold medal, 4 to the gold
And
medal.
clinch gold.
This impossible dream comes true!
Next day, the team flew to Washington, D.C. for lunch with the president. Afterwards, the players dispersed, returned home, forever.
That's it. Everybody goes separate ways, and you're on your own again, and you're no longer a team.
It was myself, Dave Silk, and Jack O'Callahan. We were sitting, tell you how long ago this was, Eastern Airlines, and we were sitting in first class. I remember Silky kind of had some tears in his eyes, and I said, what's wrong? And he goes, it's over.
But whether these players enjoyed long careers in the NHL or never played another minute of competitive hockey, it has never been over. Even after the speeches and books and movies, it has never been over.
If you had told us this was going to happen, I'd have said no way. Not so much winning, but the reaction. The reaction 30 years later. It was a moment that people still treasure and cherish.
Chris Connolly reporting. Among the many indelible marks Miracle on Ice left on pop culture, the photo of the Americans' jubilant on-ice celebration is still the only cover in Sports Illustrated's history to run without a caption or headline.